In 2000, we bought an abandoned 100-acre farm in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. We spent years cleaning it up, built a new house, and now are trying to make it a functional homestead farm. Welcome to Red Tool House.
Hello everyone, welcome to Red Tool House again. It's great that y'all came back. Today's episode we're going to talk about castration. Excuse me. Today we're going to talk about castration, pig castration. It obviously is not the most pleasant thing when you think about it. May affect people different ways. But it's that time of year. It's time to cut our piglets. And so we've decided to document that. Now with this documentation, I'll give a disclaimer here, of course. We are going to, we did document the surgical aspect of it, the cutting process. And so there will be some blood, there will be some little testicles laying around. It tends to get a little nuts. But anyway, we'll jump into that here in a second. I just want to do a quick little housekeeping element there is YouTube's changing the way they do things a little bit. If you're not getting notifications when we have a new video out, again, we try to do a new video every Friday. And but if you're not getting that notification, if you go to our page, go to our YouTube channel page, next to the subscribe, if you're subscribed already, it'll say subscribe, but there's a little bell there. If you just click on that bell, it'll just say that you want to receive notifications. And all that does is just a little pop-up in your email and also a push notification on your mobile. Just simply says, hey, Red Tool House has launched a new video. If you want to get that notification, just do that. So we'll go ahead and dive right into this discussion. Okay, well, today is that fun day. It's castration day. And we've gone a little longer than normal, so our pig's a little bit bigger, so it's going to be a little bit more anxious to wrangle there. But we've got, what do we have, 6? We have 6 boars that need to be castrated. And so we've got them in the cages. The first step, of course, is separating them from the sow, which you obviously need to be able to do that. The sow gets pretty aggressive if you start grabbing her babies. It's funny, a pig won't squeal until you lift it up off the ground. So we've got them in these cages and these boxes here so we can hold them while we do our cutting. And obviously, not necessarily a clean, sterile room I'm trying to get here, but just a room away from the sow. So we're in my workshop. I just cover up my table saw here, and I've got a little trough that I've made to lay the piglet in while we cut. I can't stress enough getting a good scalpel. Don't go to your tractor supply store or whatever and just get the cheapest one. You want to try to get a good one if you even have a medical supply source. Get a good scalpel there. That really helps quite a bit. So we're going to start, we're going to get into this, and it's going to get really loud. So what I'm going to do is just record, and then I can come back and maybe discuss all that we're doing. Well, pig castration just happened, of course. So again, I wasn't going to try to narrate while I was doing it. It's a little traumatic for everybody. The pigs are uncomfortable, so we want to try to get that done as quickly as possible. I did try to capture a lot of different shots there, so we'll be able to go over that. But so what are the key elements there? Again, I talked about briefly having a good work area, and a work area that has to be away from your sow. Just as an example, when we took the first piglet out after he was cut, again, piglets don't like to be off the ground. As soon as you're off the ground, they like to squeal and carry on. So as soon as we were carrying him out, the sow came tearing off the hill there because she thought something was up. So I lure her away with feed, do all that type of stuff. So that's why it's good to have an area that you can at least get away from the sow. And sometimes you don't even want to trust your fence there, because sow can come busting through that fence if it feels if its babies are in danger there. So we bring them in the workshop here. I just use my table saw. Obviously I put some protective covering down on my table saw top. Don't want to have blood and iodine and all that all over my table saw. That's not good. But I built this tray, and again, there's all kinds of different ways that you can castrate. I've seen guys use hay bale and they just flip the pig over and sit on them. I've seen them just cradle them right in their arm while somebody else cuts. I've seen all kinds of different ways. This way works well for us. To me, I think it's good to give control, and the key that when I'm cutting, what I try to do is, obviously I don't want to poke myself, I don't want to poke the guy holding, and I don't want to poke the pig or do any unnecessary cutting on there. So I just simply try to be as strategic as possible in my cuts. So we've got the tray. What I start off with is, and I suggest too, I suggest having a medical toolkit for your animals. You probably have one already, but I keep a little toolbox here. It has everything in it, from my leg bands for my chicken, and my marking paint, to alcohol, not for me, but for cleaning, of course, iodine spray, antibiotics if I have to use them, worming medicine, KY jelly if it's breeding time, a lot of different things that I've accumulated. Obviously my dosing syringe. Really nice and handy to have a toolbox like that, but keep all that stuff centralized. And of course on top here's where I have my knives, or my scalpels, my needles, and all those things for that kind of stuff. But iodine spray. Now again, I never would have thought that castrating pigs would be controversial. And it's just kind of the sign of the times, I guess. Maybe we're more progressive, maybe we're more advanced, or maybe we're just super sensitive. But some of the forums on Facebook, some of the groups that I'm on, somebody posted a video the other day of castrating pigs, and I thought they did a really good job. And man, there was a lot of blowback on that about, you're not using a numbing agent, that's too mean for these pigs, there's no reason for you to castrate. All those type of things that I feel are just, I don't know. Everybody's got their opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I think about Facebook, it allows you to express your opinion without having any common decency or courtesy with the conversation there. Okay, enough of that. But why do we castrate? So maybe we should start there. Well, we castrate our boars because we, do artificial insemination. I want to keep control of my breed line, my genetics, myself. So I want to introduce new genetics when I'm ready. I only want to breed once a year. If I've got to keep a boar separate from my sows on a regular basis, then obviously that's just something else to maintain. A boar's another mouth to feed. A boar can be more aggressive. All those things that go along with that. But also castration, and there's a lot of debate over this as well, but there's an issue called boar taint. And the way I've always been explained boar taint, and the way I understand it is that as a boar reaches maturity, then its hormones are developing. Obviously, it's becoming a man, and that can affect, if he still has his testicles intact, those hormones can affect the flavor of the meat or affect the smell of the meat. Now, again, I understand that not all boars will develop that, or not all people are susceptible to that. I've heard that there's multiple definitions that certain people have a genetic propensity to be able to pick up on boar taint, and others do not. So that's the reason why we castrate. We want to control our breed line, and we don't want to have to deal with the potential of tainted meat. Okay, so what's in our kit? Well, our kit is, we've got our medicine tool kits, again, very handy to have. I've got our trough that we've built, and the way we do it again is lay them in the trough. I put their tailbone right up here on this little board, and that gets their rear end in the air. And the people that are holding can hold the front legs, hold the back legs. When they hold them by the back legs, I'm able to push down with my hand and push the testicles back toward the anus, and that makes them proud, makes them stick up more, but also gets them further away from the abdomen. Again, it's my understanding the further forward you cut, the better chance you have of causing a hernia. So we want to try to avoid that. So I I press those testicles back as much as possible. I take my my scalpel, and I like the curved blades on the scalpel. And that's what I was saying. You can't don't scrimp when it comes to your knife. You wouldn't want a doctor scrimping if he's cutting on you. So don't scrimp on your piglets. But I like a curved blade, number 10, and almost like a pocket knife. So it gives you opportunity to do a good cut, but also reduces. You can see the piglet moves around quite a bit, and you want to make sure you keep that scalpel back because you don't want to poke yourself. You don't want to poke the piglet. You don't want to poke the guy helping you out. That would be a bad deal. So the curved blade allows you to get around the curve of the testicle and not necessarily have a really pokey end there. And obviously the whole thing's very sharp. It can still jam in. It'd be an issue there. So get a good scalpel. Again, I like the number 10s. So what's the step? First thing I do is after we've got the pig in the trough, now the two guys that help, I've got great friends that come over, neighbors. Got Charlie and Fred to come over, and they do a great job. Help me out. The whole castration process maybe took 30 minutes at most for those 6 piglets. So Fred holds the front end, Charlie holds the back end. And the thing that remember with a piglet when castrating is you can't do wishbone with them. You don't spread those legs because you can really damage a piglet that way. You break those leg bones, you break that hip, and you got a serious issue. So what Charlie does is he takes them in one hand and he kind of pulls them down toward the abdomen, which that makes the rear end come a little bit more. It helps me advance those testicles back toward the anus, and I'm good to go there. So what I do when I've got those testicles pressed back, I try to make a singular cut. Now obviously if you don't do this all the time, you're going to be a little pensive, but you want to be a nice firm cut. Obviously you don't want to saw, you don't want to feather away. And you're going to cut through the flesh, the hide, but you're also going to cut there's a little thin lining. If it was intestines, it would be the mesentery. I don't know what you would call the lining around the testicle, but there's a thin liner there that once you cut that, then that testicle's free. And if you just give a little squeeze, it actually pops out. It protrudes beyond the skin. And I've seen people pull them and just jerk them. I've seen people twist them and jerk them. I've seen people cut them. I've always cut them. There's just something about jerking testicles off something. Maybe it's a guy thing. It just makes my shoulders touch my ears for one thing when I see that happen. Piglet doesn't like being started like a lawnmower, so I don't do that. But again, to each his own there. But single cut, you've got a blood vessel and you've got a muscle or a tendon there that's holding that. So you're going to cut through both of those and try to cut as cleanly as possible because the pig obviously is still wrestling around a little bit, jerking around. He's not comfortable laying on his back. Obviously doesn't like a knife being stuck in him. So cutting those away as quickly as possible. So again, the $20,000 question that people ask and people that don't understand really get upset about this. What do you do once you've removed the testicles? Are you suturing? Are you stitching this up? Are you putting any type of bandage system on there or anything? Or are you just being cruel and letting that pig go? Well, I'll tell you from experience that you leave it alone. If I don't even put blue coat, I don't spray anything on the incisions after they're done. The piglet is small enough and it's young enough that it will heal over super quick. In fact, we'll go back and we'll shoot some video of them 2 hours after cutting. You'll see they're not bleeding. They may have some dried blood, not bleeding, maybe a little bit of seepage, but they heal over real quick. And again, from what I've learned, if I take blue coat is alcohol-based, iodine spray, obviously iodine, all that makes that incision burn. So when you set a piglet down after you've sprayed blue coat on it, what's the first thing they do? They go over and they rub against something, or they get in the mud and they rub, and they're just moving that rear end back and forth because it's stinging them. And they want to try to alleviate that stinging, so they start packing dirt into that cut immediately. So if you don't spray, you don't coat, then it's just the sting isn't as intense. So again, this is by experience. I've seen my piglets, they just walk around at that point. So they're not rubbing their butts against anything, they're not jamming dirt in there, and you usually get a much cleaner heal there. And literally within 24 hours, they'll have scabbed over, and within a matter of a week, you won't be able to see, there's no open wound, things are doing great. Knock on wood, I've never lost a pig after castration. I've never had any issues. I've never had any hernias. Now, it doesn't mean that can't happen. That's obviously an issue that you got to look for, but we don't want to be cruel. but we also don't want to waste a lot of time. We don't want to do things that are going to complicate. If I'm trying to stitch, I'm stressing that pig out even more. If I'm trying to suture, and good luck trying to put a Band-Aid on a pig. That ain't going to stay there very long. That's not going to happen. So some of you guys may think that's cruel. Some of you think, okay, numbing agent, you're not using a numbing agent. It just becomes down to a level of practicality. That pig, as soon as he walks away, is fine. Doesn't like being upside down. Obviously doesn't like being cut. Nobody likes being cut. But that piglet will recover from that super fast. A numbing agent, to me, quite frankly, is just a waste of time. We may be a little overkill on how many people it takes to castrate a pig, but again, I want that pig to be as comfortable as possible. I don't want it thrashing around. I don't want to be holding it by the leg or it flailing around by one leg. I want that pig to be secure from the entire time we lay hands on it, till we cut it, till we put it back with its mama. So what do you do when you're done? Well, obviously, you've got a pile of testicles. That supposedly is a delicacy. I'm not that much of a homesteader to go that direction yet, so I'm not a mountain oyster kind of guy. But we obviously dispose of those, clean up our equipment, and then we just check on the pigs. So what else has been going on at Red Tool House? Well, we've got had a lot going on here since the last week, the last time we did updates. We have received our chicks in the mail. Nothing like getting chicks in the mail. Post office people love that. We ordered 30 chickens. We got 15 Cornish Cross and 15 Red Rangers. And as I mentioned in a previous episode, we're going to raise those meat chickens for ourselves, of course. But we're going to raise them side by side. We're going to do the old Pepsi challenge there. We're going to have the Cornish Cross versus the Red Rangers. It'll be kind of a throwdown. Raise the two of them, same feed ratio, same access to pasture, same water source, all of that. Of course, they're the same age, and we're just going to see how those do. Now, again, you guys may say, well, that's kind of a no-brainer. We know what's going to happen. The Cornish Cross is going to be super big in 9 weeks, and the Red Rangers aren't. But I want to see a feed conversion ratio. We're going to keep track of that. We're going to keep track of the weight, obviously, when it's time to process. We know the Red Rangers are probably going to go longer, but we just want to see how that converts with feed. And of course, the ultimate test is the taste test at the end. Well, as we cook some of those, we'll see how that goes. So this is going to be an ongoing process. So that video is not going to happen anytime soon, of course, because we'll have to document this out over the next 12 weeks. But right now, we did get those in. So the post office gave us a call. We run and get the chicks, bring them back, get them in the brooder. I actually put them in I put them in a small brooder, actually just a tote for the first couple of days, so we can keep an eye on them, keep them tight, keep them warm, of course, if the weather's a little cold. And then I end up moving them down into our. I actually put them in our workshop. Since it's earlier in the year, they still have some cold nights, so I wouldn't put them in the barn or put them in the main chicken house. So I put them in there, let them get acclimated, let them run around, do that kind of thing. So that's where we are with the chickens. We also picked up our last processing run for the spring of our hogs. So the last 9 hogs that we took, those were processed, and we picked them up and got all that back. So I have my freezer now up and running and functioning, fortunately. And all that pork is stocked in the freezer, so it's really neat to see that. Temperature's holding well, insulation seems to be good. I got a couple little places where I'm getting a little frost buildup, which means I've got some warm, moist air from the outside coming in, so I'll correct that with some additional weather stripping. It's just around the door area there, so just got to improve my weather stripping. But that turned out really well. Things are getting warmer around here. The sun's staying out. We got a little bit of rain, but temperature's warming. Things are starting to green up, so we're excited about that. We'll actually be another little test we're going to do is we're going to reseed one area of our pasture, and the pigs kind of worn it out pretty good. So I'm going to just test, do some grid areas there with just some different seed mixes, and try some different elements there, and to see how those come up and see how they flourish. So we're excited to try that as well. The one thing else I'm going to try is I just got, where did they go? Since we just got our last pork run, we got our full inventory now. So now I have bratwurst, and Italian bratwurst, and sausage links. So we're going to give some bratwurst a spin. I've been anxiously awaiting this. That way I don't have to buy any store-bought junk anymore. I can have some of my own. So we're going to try that out. Obviously, bratwurst that you buy at the store, pre-cooked, and just like your hot dogs, all you do is heat them up. Won't be doing that here. We're going to slow cook them over a fire here as soon as I get my yolk stick figured out here. Another handy little tool. If you're like me and you like campfires, you always want to have your handy little tools available to do things. We have these cheap little telescoping roasting sticks. Pretty handy. Lets you select the size you need there. I think I'm going to have to lower my stick some more. There we go. Alrighty. Take Mr. Worst number one. Number one. Worst number two. Stuff's the worst. Put a little weight on that, aren't it? All right. Well, obviously everyone has their own preference on how they like their bratwurst cooked, especially over an open fire. Wouldn't recommend rare, obviously, since all the grinding and all the things going on there. I prefer mine Joan of Arc. I like them burned at the stake. So we'll let that sit there for a while. So again, really anxious to try this out, see this new processor, how he handles his bratwurst and how it turned out. If you may be wondering about my firewood, when you clean out the workshop in the spring, the wood shop, you get all the cutoffs. Over the course of the year, I accumulate all the cutoffs that I try to force myself to get rid of. It's tough sometimes when you have a wood addiction like I do. It's tough to get rid of stuff. But I clean that out. And then as I was going through my pile that I was going to burn, I just noticed this is a nice little 3x3 chunk of sugar maple. So that's almost a shame to burn that, but that came off a pretty big slab from the mill. So I may not have the wherewithal to burn that. I may have to set that one aside. That may have to go back in the shop. So to the chagrin of my wife and kids that see my wood shop as an absolute mess, that one may have to go back and be kept. Got a little bratwurst cam going here to get some of that front end action. All right, looks like these are just about done. That second one kind of went a little alien on me. It just all spread apart. I've never seen one do that, but I think I remember that pig. He was a hateful one. He always wanted to fight anyway. So, wish you could smell what I'm cooking here, because that's the only downside of video. You can't be here to experience this, and it smells really good. Whew. That's going to be hotter than a 7 circle of hell, so I'm not going to just take a bite out of it right now as much as I want to. It tastes like crap. That is really good. Yep, I'm definitely giving that a thumbs up. That is tasty. I'm going to burn my mouth off because I'm so hungry. It's hotter than a $2 pistol. Excuse me. That's what I'm talking about right there. You know, it's stuff like this that makes it all worthwhile. When you're trudging through the mud, knee-deep mud, pigs are knocking you down, you're getting pushed around, it's cold, you're wet, it's early in the morning, you don't want to get up, all that fun stuff. This makes it worthwhile. This is what I'm talking about right here. So the day that we launch this video will be the last day of the month of March. So a good time to remind you all that be sure to be on our email list. If you're on our email list, you're automatically entered for a random drawing that happens monthly. We just randomly go through our email list and we choose a person that will win our drawing and gets a gift. Last month it was the work gloves. Month before that it was one of our high beam hats, and again for the month of March it's one of our tactical flashlights, our StormTech tactical flashlight. Really nice flashlight, so be sure to be on our email list. Again, I don't blow you up. I'm not going to sell your information. I'm not going to do anything. You're just going to get information about Red Tool House. You can unsubscribe at any time. And like I said, we don't blow up your inbox. But that's just another way for us to communicate with you all, and again, reward you for being part of our inner circle there, being on our email list. So be sure to just sign up for that. It's really easy to do. Just go to redtoolhouse.com. On the home page down at the bottom, you'll see a big section there about signing up for our newsletter. Just click the sign up, put your information in, and you'll see some lists that you can select. If you're not a local customer, you're not buying product off of us, you may just want to select the YouTube channel and the blog. That will be all the information associated with that. Pastured pork, pastured eggs, pastured poultry are for people that want to order locally in that. You may still want to see that information, see what we've got going on, but just know that that's what those lists mean. So be sure to sign up for that. Also, be sure to give us a like on this video. We appreciate that. That gives us, again, motivation to keep going. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Feel free to use the comments below. Been a nice steady stream of comments. Really enjoy that. It's fun to read what you guys have to say, and getting some good advice sent back. Some of you guys had some good advice here recently on some items. So I appreciate that. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/redtoolhousefarm. And give us a like there and see what's going on. And again, we appreciate everything you guys do as far as the feedback goes. We really enjoy it. Take care.